Adam Smith, an influential Western thinker. Smith substituted the moral value of kindness with moral self-interest as the driver of human activity, according to the distance between them. Smith was an ethical thinker, was not a modern-style author of a principle of economics work because the topic did not exist at the time Smith lived. He published the result of his investigation into the actual meaning of national wealth, what enabled riches to expand and society to advance toward luxury, and what's time growth. It was the perfect book at the perfect time for him. That was his brilliance and that was his legacy. Ibn Khaldun. Abu Zaid Abdul Ar-Rahman Ibn Khaldun, historian, politician, and a social philosopher, was born in Tunis and raised there, receiving the highest religious and secular education possible. He is regarded as one of the genuinely brilliant and original scholars by both non-Arabis and Arabis. His economic views drew researchers' attention as contemporary Islamic economics developed in 20th century. His economic theories encompass a wide range of issues. Ibn Taymiyyah was a figure who had emerged in the 30th and 40th centuries. He has brought a thought that is often and still studied to this day by modern scholars, both among Orientalists and Muslims. Among the studies done on him is on his thinking through his criticism of the philosophers. Ibn Taymiyyah has devoted his entire life to the service of da'wah and knowledge. He reveals 5 concepts in the development of market mechanisms, namely fair prices, fair markets, fair profit concept, the concept of fair wages, and aims for society. The essence of Ibn Taymiyyah's thought is about the justice of Ummah. Ibn Taymiyyah has left a wealth of knowledge through his books and treatises. Some of the works have already been printed, others are still in the form of manuscripts, while many others are only known by name through the books of past scholars but have since disappeared. It is estimated that his writings are about 500 volumes. Sayyid Qutb Ibrahim Hussein Shadili was a literary critic, novelist, fighter, Egyptian Islamic thinker, and the most famous Egyptian Islamic activist of the 20th century. Sayyid Qutb was one of the modern Muslim intellectuals who in the mid-20th century used Western thought to fight against the Insaf by rediscovering the framework of thought and life based on Islam, while dismantling the system of colonial descent. His thoughts were very influential on Arab politics and culture, especially among the youth. Sayyid Qutb stated that all problems of human life have been regulated in Islam, not excluding economic problems. In this documentary, we focusing on the comparative study of Adam Smith and Muslim scholars of jurisprudence. According to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 10, aims to reduce inequality within and among countries. This SDG calls for reducing inequalities in income as well as those based on age, sex, disability, race, ethnicity, origin, religion, or economic or other status within a country. Economic inequality refers to disparities among income and wealth, which we can see where the homeless live in tents in cities only miles away from fancy condos. What is Adam Smith and Sayyid Qutb's view about economic inequalities? The mercantile system, according to Adam Smith, favored the commercial class while regular citizens and laborers get ignored. Adam Smith claimed that the nature of liberty would assure everyone's socio-economic prosperity. With the economic system of natural liberty and the division of labor, the overall productivity, prosperity, and luxury of civilization will increase over the time. Adam Smith acknowledged that the distribution of income would be unequal. He predicted that the poor will gain their standard of living steadily under the unrestricted free market through the natural progress of wealth. Sayyid Qutb believed that there was a huge gap between the wealthy and the impoverished in Egypt, especially after the Second World War. Sayyid Qutb voiced out that in a just society, one should not be too rich and one should not be extremely impoverished. He also believed that zakat, charity or sadaqah, and inheritance, wasiyah, can ensure social economic equality which can establish just society. Adam Smith's view on economic inequality is like a straight line where the poor should work more to gain more income and gain the rich life at the end of the point. Compared to side could be views like a loop where wealth and income are allocated justly for everyone, either using zakat, inheritance or charity. According to Ibn Taymiyyah, he discovered that the price is determined by the forces of supply and demand because of a decline in requested imports or a decrease in production. As a result, if the demand for more items increases but the ability to supply them falls, prices will naturally rise. Overall, Ibn Taymiyyah emphasized that price fluctuations in the market are determined by the strength of demand and supply rather than by the unfair behavior of some parties involved in the transactions. However, he did emphasize the importance of a fair market price. Ibn Taymiyyah considered the equivalent price as a fair price. Therefore, he used both terms interchangeably. He stated that a fair price or ijra al-mithal should be worth the price of goods and services where individuals offer the commodities, and the price should also be widely regarded as being similar to merchandise that would be sold. Similarly to Ibn Khaldun, he said the force of the law of demand and supply in the market is the foundation of the price mechanism. Ibn Khaldun also highlighted the impact of the price bid rising and lowering. For example, when items are in the short supply, prices rise. When the distance between adjacent towns is safe to travel, there will be a lot of imported goods until the goods are numerous and prices will fall. In the community, Ibn Khaldun examined the empirical theory of supply and demand. Ibn Khaldun expressly formulated the rule of supply and its relationship to price. This means more supply, which has resulted in lower prices for basic items. That is, when the demand for a product rises owing to an increase in population, the composition of individuals who provide this product rises as well. From the perspective of Adam Smith, he examined the concept of price and market by presenting the thought of natural price. He stated that natural pricing is the long-run center for market price movement or gravitation. It is the expense of not being subjected to disproportionate influence. It has been used to calculate production costs, and it is in the long term. In a society, everyone has the freedom to deliver what he wants and trade what he desires. While for the market price, it has been observed for the short-run price, which is market price, will be affected due to the change of demand and supplies and also other random variables. As you can see, the price theory presented by Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Khaldun is nearly identical to that proposed by Adam Smith, the modern economist. Thus, the price increase was caused by exploitation, manipulation, or act of injustice, not by the quality of demand and supply. First, we must know what is international trade. International trade or import and export is the exchange of capital, goods and services across international borders or regions in response to a need or demand for goods. International trade was essential to the development of the global economy. International trade also enables countries to expand their domestic markets and get access to goods and services that would otherwise be unavailable. But did you know there are two different scholars that have the quite same theory about international, but they are also quite different? Meet Adam Smith represent the conventional economic scholar and Ibn Khaldun represent the Islamic scholar. Adam Smith said that nations would benefit from trading with one another since they may share advantages and employ division of labor, which are basically the same as Ibn Khaldun that also said the same thing. But the main difference is that Adam Smith emphasizes individualism and utilitarianism, while Ibn Khaldun highlights the happiness of individuals, the profit of merchants, and the prosperity of government as the basis. What is the difference, if you may ask? Utilitarianism promotes morality, which says actions and inactions that help few people but hurt more people are wrong, while actions and inactions that hurt fewer people but help more people are right. While Ibn Khaldun aims to satisfy the whole community for the greater good. So, what do you think? Moving on, Ibn Khaldun also mentions how foreign trade can help in economic growth. If the imported good is cheaper than the domestic item, international commerce will save labor and other resources by diverting them from high-cost goods that cannot compete. These saved resources can be used to make other things or build up capital. It will also help in the country's level of revenue as well as its degree of development and prosperity. After all that, when faced with a high-quality product made by a competitor, domestic manufacturers will increase their output and quality or see their sales and income drop. Indirectly, it will help the welfare benefit. Plus, if a new product enters to market through international trade, domestic enterprises may create it when they are ready to compete. Market mechanism refers to the demand and supply of goods and services and market that provide more information, encourage increased business activities, and promote the use of goods and factors of production efficiently. There are several perspectives toward market mechanism from Adam Smith and Muslim scholars such as Abu Yusuf, Ibn Taymiyyah, Abdul Hamid al-Ghazali, and Ibn Khaldun. Adam Smith has talked about market mechanism through his famous book, which is The Wealth of Nations, explains how the capitalist market can increase the mercantilist system. Next, in Invisible Hand, he guides about the important demand and supply in the market. He said, demand and supply are determinant of whether the market economy makes a profit or a loss. While Muslim scholars such as Abu Yusuf gives a deep sight into market, especially when Europe is still not aware about the market mechanism and price. He also wrote a book called Kitab al-Qaraj that explains either price is high or low cannot determine if the market can produce less or more. For instance, if a firm produces a very large product but the price is still high, or produced in very small quantity and the price very low. Next scholars is Ibn Taymiyyah has a big contribution to the market mechanism due to how he can understand well about the market mechanism compared people around his age in 40th century. He said that demand and supply is not the only thing that can determine the price, but the interaction between both and not due to zoom of sellers. Abdul Hamid al-Ghazali said market mechanism refers to exchange goods and services between sellers and buyers. Supply also plays an important role for market mechanism in modern technology. Not only that, market failure also can happen in the market mechanism, so it is essential to have fair trade, which clear ethical and business code. Last scholars is Ibn Khaldun. Ibn Khaldun, through his book called Muqaddimah, explained how some goods can have high price and lower price. Marketable goods divide by two types of goods, which are necessary goods and luxury goods. Necessary good is a good that we need to still survive, such as food, and the price is quite low, while luxury market is expensive goods, such as luxury bags from Dior, and the price higher than necessary goods. Even there are many perspectives about market mechanisms from Adam Smith and Muslim scholars, they still have a big contribution. Even there are many perspectives about market mechanism from Adam Smith and Muslim scholars, they still have a big contribution and impact toward market mechanisms. What is ideals that Muslim scholars and Adam Smith adhere to when it comes to government's role in taxation for economic growth? In his book, The Wealth of Nations, Adam Smith, a well-known Western thinker, outlined 4 tax canons. According to him, everybody should pay equal amount in taxes. Second, Smith claimed that the amount to be paid should be known ahead of time. Third, payment and collection should be as simple as possible. Lastly, the economy should be monitored to ensure that taxes are not levied with an exorbitant cost of collection. Smith summarized that a sound tax should represent the ability to pay, be definite and intelligible, be convenient to pay to each subject, and have a low exaction rate. Take as little from taxpayer as necessary. Ibn Khaldun's taxation theory is just one facet of his wealth of economic ideas. In terms of taxation, Ibn Khaldun contends that it is an important element that an individual should consider for his or her business. In his Muqaddimah, he focused that every state requires resources to fulfill its duty to its residents and the economy, which must be raised by the government in several ways, the most significant of which is taxation. Ibn Khaldun has done extensive research on the impact of government spending on the economy. Ibn Khaldun also mentions the multiplier impact of government spending. The tax money reverts to the people. To conclude, every perspective between Adam Smith and Muslim scholars towards economic, either in international trade, market mechanisms, economy inequality, price ineconomy, also government's role in taxation for economic growth can achieve the Sustainable Development Goals number 8, which is decent work and economic growth. For instance, through international trade, we can increase the job opportunities, especially among locals, and our economic growth also will rise. Not only that, we can also achieve SDG number 10, reduce inequalities, and number 16, which is peace, justice, and strong institutions. For example, true perspective towards economic inequality can give complete explanations so that there will be no wide gap among the citizens and every citizen will get the same opportunity or financial assistance. In Surah Al-Hajj, verse 7, what Allah has bestowed on His Messenger and taken away from the people of townships belongs to Allah, to His Messenger, and to kindred and orphans, the needy and the wayfarer, in order that it may not merely make a circuit between the wealthy among you. So take what the Messenger assigns to you, and deny yourself that which he withholds from you, and fear Allah, for Allah is strict in punish. So from this surah, we should know that we should be just and fair in our daily life in order to pleasure Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.